Hello and welcome to Maybe in Another Generation. And this week I'm delighted to welcome back author and journalist and lifelong City fan, Dom Farrell. Dom's the senior content producer for Sporting News UK and the author of the brilliant Glory Days for the Waifs and Strays, charting City's journey from rags to riches. Dom Farrell, delighted to welcome you back to Maybe in Another Generation. How the hell are you?
I'm good, mate. Thanks for having me. Really looking forward to this one because I love this season.
Yes, we were just saying off air, as they say, that when you think about the Aguero season and then the Pellegrini one, and then obviously the treble and the four in a row, this then doesn't get much of a look in. But when you think about what happened in the season, how many points we amassed and everything that happened, it's up there, definitely. And I know why it's many people's favourites, and yours included.
Yeah, it's I mean, obviously we'll probably kick off talking about the incomings and outgoings, but I think it all starts from it's the summer where they don't get Harry Kane. So it's the full false nine season because Jesus came back from the Copa America and decided he was a right winger, hadn't he? Which was helpful. And a lot of it felt like because there was no striker, they had to do full Pep football, and basically they had to be close to perfect, and it nearly wasn't enough. And so obviously you see why they then go on and get someone like Haaland, who's just a goal machine, and you do things in a different way. But it was, I just thought they were close to perfection a lot because they had to be. And I know the Centurions are more thrilling. That first Liverpool title battle is probably better quality, slightly more points, and it's more relentless, but. Yeah, I just think so much about this season and the sort of things they had to overcome. There's just so much of it I think is a wonderful season.
I was doing some notes last night on the train home from Newcastle, and when it gets to sort of March, I'm starting to get stressed typing all the notes out and thinking, shit. Do you know what I mean? But we won't keep anyone in suspense any longer, as if they haven't guessed already. You have kindly chosen the 21-22 season, which is brilliant, and I can't wait to get stuck into it. So going into that season, how do we find the club? Where would we been to the previous season? How's the team? And from memory, how are supporters feeling about it all?
Well, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because City are going into it as champions, but I do think Porto coloured a lot of the feeling at the end of that season. And then, of course, there was that thing where basically a lot of the players wanted to leave, and eventually most of them didn't. I thought the way they turned things around in the pandemic season was fantastic, but then Porto should have been like the crowning moment of that, and it kind of famously. We don't need to talk about that team sheets. I know it's a favourite of yours, but it kind of soured it all a little bit. But yet you also then have the aspect of Porto was the first time a decent amount of people have been able to get on an away trip since the pandemic, and then this season is the first season of everyone back in ground. So there's an excitement about that, and I sort of remember like some of the early season games, particularly that game against Arsenal at the Etihad, like feeling really buoyant, just like everyone was excited to be at the football again. But obviously on the back of Porto, some of the feelings that a lot of players maybe wanted to leave. The fact they didn't get Kane in the summer, so did miss their main transfer target, but then did spend a lot of money on another English player. It was a bit of a hard one to judge, really. I think also the fact that in the pandemic season they'd not really had a title challenger. I mean, United finished second and way off, so there was a bit of an element of like who's really going to emerge, and obviously soon enough it became clear it was going to be one of those Liverpool seasons again.
As it turns out, and you're right, really, because we'd won the league back from, we'd won in 17, 18, 18, 19. 1920, it was Liverpool's turn, which they fully deserved. And then we won it back. You'd think it'd be slightly celebratory, but you're right, Porto was a huge missed opportunity. I'm not going there, Dom. I'm not going there. Or shall I go there? No, I'll leave it. But you're right. I remember that pre-season, and particularly Bernardo Silva really, really pushing to leave. And it wasn't the first pre-season that he pushed to leave, nor would it be his last either. But he ended up staying, which was weird because I always think that the player that we signed that summer was bought as his replacement, I think, was the plan.
Yeah, do you know what? A lot of people forget this. I think that was the plan because Grealish came in and if you remember his debut when they lost his full debut when they lost at Spurs, of course, on the opening day of the season, he played as like the left-sided central attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
I think that was the plan. But then there was the game where they won away at Leicester where Bernardo, it was kind of clear he was going to stay there. And then he got the winner. He was brilliant. Bernardo and Grealish sort of played that left side together. And then I can't remember Jack playing central midfield for City again until he was like in the doghouse in 24-25 and was in the rotation team. It just didn't really happen again after that.
Yeah, I know. And so we missed out on Harry Kane, which was massive. So clearly there's an intent there to go for a marquee striker. And we missed out on him due to Daniel Levy playing not just hardball, but ridiculous hardball, which left City gutted, Harry Kane even more gutted. But we didn't decide to go for a second choice. Like you say, we decided to go for a fully false 9 season, bring Jack Grealish in. We all thought he'd be playing as one of the number 8s or a number 10. As it was, he ended up trying to forge a career for himself out on the left, holding the ball. My memories of him that season were very much being told to hold the ball, wait till the fullback and the winger come towards you and then play it back to Cancelo. And that's pretty much the pattern of play for his entire first season, which must have been tough for him coming from Villa, where he was Mr. Dynamic.
Yeah, because of course there was a lot of talk about Grealish and like his lack of like output in terms of goals and assists. Although I remember I talked to Cy Bajkowski from the MEN, always mentioned this a lot, that Villa Grealish had become a bit of a myth, that you would have thought that Aston Villa Grealish was scoring 20 a season and setting up 30, whereas actually he's never been a big numbers merchant. There are other things he does that are great in his game. But he scored on his home debut when they beat Norwich 5-0, like sort of shinned one in. And also, that what was great there is that was like the classic City winger's goal that he just got in at the back post for a scruffy goal, which you've never really seen him do again. And then he scored a great goal against Leipzig, and then didn't score again. I mean, a lot of players have that first year acclimatizing to Guardiola, and he was one of several players who had a bit of a dip at false 9, and he maybe didn't acclimatize to it as well as some of the others. I specifically remember when he signed, because there was a lot of noise about whether he'd stay or go at Villa, and Villa fans were quite vocal online. I remember seeing one Villa fan saying, if you've ever watched Grealish, you'll know there's no chance he ever plays false 9. Like a couple months later, he's doing it at Anfield. So it's like...
Yeah, that's Pep's burner account again on social media going,
probably. Yeah.
I'll show you. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. So we'd spent 100 million on him. We weren't the type of team who spent 100 million on one player, so it was a surprise. But actually, when I was looking at my notes, we actually got a shed load of money in that pre-season for a load of players that, put politely, were never going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd forgotten entirely looking at, it's Lucas Nmecha to Wolfsburg. I mean, we're talking now during the World Cup where he's looking like one of the best midfielders in the tournament. So, funny old game. And again, I'd forgotten that there was a Sancho windfall when he...
Sancho's sell-on clause of 11 million quid. I mean, thank you very much. I wonder how that pans out.
He's almost had 11 loan spells since.
Yeah.
Because of course that was the window where United went a bit mad. But they signed Sancho and Varane and Ronaldo.
Brilliant.
Remember all that? Ronaldo been linked to City. That was a mad couple of days.
Well, apparently he told all the players at Juventus that he was going to City. And then he probably got on the plane and the pilot said, actually, no.
The pilot said Rio Ferdinand's been on.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's okay then. But so, I mean, Angelino, 16 million for him. Lucas Nmecha, 11 million to Wolfsburg. Jack Harrison, who'd been at Leeds for about 2 or 3 seasons anyway. We got 11 million for him. So 50 million quid on a load of reserves. So, in effect, in my head, Jack Grealish, it was only 50 million quid. So it's not that bad.
And it was a 7-year contract, wasn't it? So if you do the old Chelsea amortization,
amortization,
yeah. Still paying for him now.
Jesus, don't. So you've referenced it before, but how did we start that season? I mean, you mentioned what is now common law, the loss to Spurs. We actually went to the Charity Shield. I remember taking my daughter and her mates to that. We lost to Leicester in cruel circumstances. Obviously, Iniacho scored, but the ex-player has to come. That's the law of Roger Palmer, as I call it. Generally, what's your recollection from that start of that season?
Well, that game was like, I mean, it was what, like Samadozi and
Right.
did Ben Knight get on? Yeah, it was a real
He
sort
did.
of.
Yeah.
So also, was that the pre-season that where because they were still coming out of COVID restrictions, weren't all the pre-season friendlies like Barnsley, Blackpool, and Preston at the
And
training
we
ground?
played some of the CFA. Yeah, that's
I
right.
was,
Classic
I
ones. They're
think
the
it, yeah,
pre-seasons that everyone's been absolutely crying out for.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. It put me in mind of. I remember like after they came up under Joe Royal, like playing Oldham away with George Weah up front and playing Stockport and Rochdale. Like that's proper pre-season stuff. So
Classic.
but yeah, so it was very much a scratch team against Leicester, and I think you look at the team Leicester had out that day.
Yeah.
City probably did well to take it deep and lose 1-0.
Yeah.
Because Grealish came on that day, didn't he, and got absolute pelters.
Yeah, he did.
Just after they'd finished, still weirdly booing Riyad Mahrez for winning the league.
Well, actually, funnily enough, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he came on for Bernardo. And
Right.
Bernardo got one of those rounds of applause and he applauded
Yeah.
back as if to say, we might not be seeing you again.
He had one of them the year after at home to Bournemouth as well.
I mean, are we sure he's not going to turn up for pre-season somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh, no, he signed for them, hasn't he? But anyway. And then we go to Spurs. I'll let you... I was reading some notes from a number of websites about this game, a number of City websites, and they said, despite a decent performance, I was at that game. We were absolutely shite. Let me tell you, we were absolutely awful.
I remember thinking. So I remember after that game, I wrote something about Grealish playing at number 8, which had never happened ever again, and how I thought he had a pretty bright game and like was involved in the good things that he did. Didn't Ake miss the chance early on? I think, or was it?
He did.
Or was it
And
Fernandinho?
No, it was Ake. I think it was Ake. And then for their goal, it was our former left back, who shall remain nameless, who never played for us again for various reasons. And Ake, their defending was pretty poor. I think it was Son's goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course it was Son.
Yeah.
Got about 20 career goals against City or something. Yeah, it wasn't great, but again, I think there was kind of an understanding. It wasn't the team from the Charity Shield, but again, it wasn't up to full, wasn't like full running power or anything. So even then, I think there was understanding that, like, yeah, it's a bit of a scratch team. Spurs classic. The other thing was Fernandinho started that game and Rodri was on the bench. A little bit of the Porto hangover that still, Fernandinho's first choice. But then after that, Rodri started again. Came in the next game against Norwich and has never looked back since.
No, and I think when we go into those next two home games, because you're right, it was first time post-COVID, full stadium, bright sunshine, really, really celebratory feel of that collective. We're all back together again. Two brilliant performances. And I know Arsenal went down at 10 men in that second game, but generally, a beauty by Rodri, low and hard along the ground inside the post, which was his forte. Two really good performances for me.
Yeah, and yeah, so Rodri low and hard along the ground and Gundogan timing his run into the box for a header, wasn't it? So
yeah.
Nice bookends to the season there, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Two really good performances, a couple of goals for Torres as well, and we'll talk about him in a bit because I had a very different view of him. I wasn't having him at all, but we'll come to him later when he departs. So yeah, Norwich at home, Arsenal at home, two stonking victories. At the time, Leicester away was deemed as tough, as was Chelsea away, but two critical wins.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked a little bit about the Leicester one with Bernardo and Grealish having that link up and Grealish playing well down the wing. Chelsea away felt brilliant, felt massive, like particularly not long after Porto. And it's I guess there's a bit of a parallel with the win in 2017 there when De Bruyne scored, in that it was 1-0, but it was a battering.
Yeah.
And they completely suffocated him. Jesus scored a really good goal. That felt like it. It felt like a little bit of an exorcism that day of what happened in Porto. It felt like, right, because I mentioned it at the start, but there was probably a chance that if they'd not won at Chelsea in the set, because the Porto final was, of course, they'd lost 3 in about 6 weeks to Tuchel's Chelsea. Yeah. If that had gone wrong, there was a risk that loomed over the season, and it felt like that day it just lifted all of that. Because you've got to remember, Chelsea also signed Lukaku, and he was meant to be the final piece in the puzzle, and they were going to win the league that year. It's very, very easy to forget all of these things in all the oh, it's inevitable City won 4 in a row and all that. All the little details along the way.
Well, at that point, as we go into the November international break, we were second behind Chelsea, so they were going for it in terms of the league title. This was still Abramovich years, wasn't it? So, but we got 2 heavy away wins at Leicester, who were a good side at the time. They beat us in Charity Shield, and Chelsea, who were top at the time. We lost to PSG, and I remember absolutely putting in a belting performance, but we lost 2-0 to them because they scored their 2 chances and we missed our several. And I think that was the real insight as to why Pep was trying to go big for a marquee striker, because as much as you look back on this season and all the seasons where we've scored hundreds of goals, I think we scored 99 in this season, but actually it was the missing goals in crucial games at crucial periods that was really, really tough for us. And I think that PSG game really sort of cemented exactly where the issue lay with our strikers.
Yeah, that was the thing, that they had to be perfect. Like I said, I think it's the closest to sort of Pep football in perfection over the course of a season that City ever were under Guardiola. But that was partly because they had to be, because they didn't get a striker. And you can't ask yourselves to be perfect every season. They obviously had to remedy it in the end and get Haaland. And like you say, it's why they wanted Kane. But the way they adjusted to not having Kane and going, right, we're just going to play like this and dominate pretty much every single game against every opponent they play.
And then we go to Anfield now. It's widely regarded as our graveyard. We'd actually beaten them behind closed doors and absolutely battered them, but it was behind closed doors because every other time we played them in front of a crowd, we looked completely phased. This time, though, I thought this was, of all the away performances in that bridge, we'd beaten Leicester, we'd beaten Chelsea. I actually thought this was one of the performances that I was most pleased about, because we looked like we weren't scared of being at Anfield, and we played really, really well.
They were fantastic that day. Bernardo in particular was amazing. I mean, when people talk about that rivalry with Klopp's Liverpool, people will talk about the 2-1 in 2018-19 and that title running. If you're a Liverpool fan, you probably talk about the 4-3 the year before when you talk about the greatest games in that fixture.
Yeah.
I think the 2 games in this season are both fantastic, and they maybe don't get the full plaudits they deserve because they were both draws, and you don't have a decisive result. But City were amazing that day. Bernardo in particular, like taking the whole midfield for a walk. Foden trying to retire
that
James
finish,
Milner.
That fit well. James Milner should have been sent off a couple of times, shouldn't he? And he wasn't.
Yeah.
Again, that's the home advantage for you. But that Foden's finish, and I know Kev's finish was a little fortuitous. I think it took a little bit of a nick off Van Dijk. But it's the first time I've ever seen us not look phased at Anfield, other than under Keegan.
Yeah. But also it was going behind, because we've seen like it happened at Anfield a few times under Pep, whether it's the Champions League quarter-final, so that 4-3 we mentioned, and even in the year Liverpool won the league when they won 3-1 there, of like just conceding goals in bunches and going under at Anfield. They played so well that first half, dominated, then went behind to a brilliant goal and equalised. Went behind to an unbelievable Salah goal again and equalised again. Like the character they showed to just not get sunk by that sort of Anfield wave was... I think it showed a lot about how the team had developed in terms of character under Guardiola, that those games at Anfield previously, they would have gone under, and they were defiant. They were absolutely brilliant that day.
Again, another tough game for us, Brighton away, and we absolutely battered them. That was another classic performance as well.
Yeah, there's a really good goal in that. Is it Foden's one that sort of he ends up hitting like behind him that loops over the goalie? But that whole move and like that was, I know he really sort of faded from view a bit in the second half of the season, but I remember that being a game where Grealish was quality and him and Foden linked up really well. I think in the middle of all this, the Carabao run did end though, didn't it?
And I think, if I remember, Phil missed the decided penalty.
He did, yeah.
He did, and we were out of our beloved Carabao. To be fair, given that we'd been through a period of winning it, was that the first time we'd lost it after like 4 years? Won the last four, yeah. And then we went to United, one of my favourite ever trips to Old Trafford, during a period where we just seemed to beat them at ease every time. I remember this game, Dom, because it sounds like a really silly thing to say now, but we passed the ball around for 95 minutes and United didn't get a touch. And then it felt like when we wanted to score, we just went ahead and scored. I don't know why I've got a feeling that Ralph Rangnick's in charge at this point. I don't know if he is.
No, it was the dog days of Solskjaer. He was circling the drain. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So he was on his way down to the job club. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that they just had an absolute hiding off Liverpool at Old Trafford not long before. Like they lost 5-0, and this was one where you think City could have won 5-0 if they fancied it, but it was
Easy. Well, we
exquisite
scored twice in
torture.
the first half. I mean, we crossed it. I think it was Cancelo cross and Eric Bailly pinged it
Yeah.
in his net, and then the other one where everyone thought for the life of him he'd
Yeah.
just put it wide because it had just gone, and he got it just inside De Gea's post, and then it was just like, you're not getting the ball again.
Yeah.
And it was incredible.
Throw another ball on for them.
It
Yeah,
hammered down. It hammered down. I remember obviously being kept in, and for about half an hour we just sang, "You're fucking shit. You're fucking," and as you do, you go to the pub and then you get in at after o'clock at night and you watch it all again on telly. And at the end, when you can hear after the game interviews, that's all you can hear. And I don't know why that particular broadcaster didn't block it out, but it was brilliant. It was brilliant. We absolutely hammered them that day. We were superb.
Yeah.
We didn't make any subs. We didn't make any subs either. Just shows you how he just thought the all deserves to stay on.
Yeah, but that's a very Pep thing, isn't it? You've got control of the rhythm of the game. He doesn't like to. Yeah, so at this time I was working for Reach PLC, which is like runs the MEN, and they had a thing called Fan Brands, which was basically trying to do football coverage from a fan's point of view. So it was the first time in my career that City, and the only time really, that City had been like my day to day and everything. I was kind of concerned that by the end of it all I might hate them, but I didn't. It was fine. But that derby was great because we had to go on a stream after with like the United lads to talk about it, and they were beautifully crestfallen.
Oh, there's nothing better, is there? There's nothing better. I always go back to when Sky used to have that fan zone.
Take it, guys.
Take it. Just delicious. You could see the years of pain coming out of that lad's mouth when he was just going, take it. It was fucking phenomenal. Great days. So Champions League, we've not really talked about that, but actually we're coasting along nicely. I mean, despite having PSG in the group, we've beaten Leipzig, we've beaten Bruges twice. We're unlucky against PSG away, but we beat them at home. And when we beat them at home, we beat them with Mbappe, with Neymar. They had such a great side. And we ended up topping that group, which with Paris Saint-Germain in it. At this point in the sort of November, we're thinking treble, or is it too soon?
I wasn't, no, because I think even at that point, so the PSG game, Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, if you remember, City sort of had Zinchenko up front that night. Like,
was it his turn at false nine?
It was like pretty much, yeah. Because there was a load of injuries. And I think Sterling and Jesus came off the bench and they got the goals. But like they were brilliant that night. But I think it was like, if Zinchenko wasn't false nine, it was definitely one of the only times he played like as an attacking eight. He was involved in like all the pressing and harrying up front. I thought it was a wonderful performance. But I remember I wasn't thinking of the treble purely because you were thinking, this squad as it is, they've kind of just got to have their foot to the floor most games. So it's going to catch up at some point. Whereas the year after, there'd be games when Haaland would score a first half hat trick and they could just sort of toss it off after half time.
Well, you bring on Alvarez, wouldn't you?
Yeah, to score a couple himself. Yeah. And so they just didn't have that. Yeah, that is a mad thing to go from the no striker team to Haaland and Alvarez the year after. It was
who are now two of the most sought after strikers in world
football.
Yeah. I actually think that Paris Saint-Germain game was. There's another game further in that run which we'll talk about in a bit, which was one of my favourite ever City shithouse performances. But that Paris Saint-Germain home game, the stadium was up for it, the players were up for it. We'd started to get some injuries, and that really runs all the way through our season in terms of injuries. But we beat a top team with Galactico players. And that's when I thought, maybe not the treble, but I thought if ever we're going to win the Champions League, we've been burnt the previous season with the game that we're not going to mention again, Porto. And I thought, I started to believe that this was it. And I actually thought we were going to win the Champions League this year. And it was on. But we'll come to that in a bit because we've got the league to contend with. And we're heading to Villa away, where I think that's the best goal we scored that season and one of the best goals we've scored in the Pep era. I'm talking about the Bernardo Silva goal. Talk to me about that, Dom.
One of the best goals City have scored ever. Never mind Guardiola era. It's incredible, and it's great how it starts from for want of a better description, Mahrez and Cancelo pissing around with it in their own box. And then it just opens up and you've got these sweeping first-time balls. Like, is it Fernandinho pings out to Jesus?
Yeah.
And what I love about that goal is Bernardo could definitely take it down and have a touch and finish calmly, but the move and the cross demanded that he spanked it.
And he
incredible.
He did. I mean, I could watch, when you watch a goal over and over again, and you see little things about it that you love. The Mahrez and Cancelo were pissing about with it, but I think Mahrez ends up nutmegging one of their strikers.
Yeah,
because we're on the edge of our area or in our area, and then it goes out of Fernandinho sort of corner flag, and he plays it long down the right to Jesus. That cross by Jesus, it was just pinpoint. And then you always think Bernardo's just stroked it in, but when you see it,
he twats it. Yeah,
he absolutely twats it. That's a classic goal. That
glorious goal.
It's beautiful.
What the guy I feel sorry for in all that though is Ruben Diaz smacked one in from 30 yards that night, which
it did,
which doesn't happen every day. But you forget about that goal because of what happened after.
Yeah, I didn't think of Ruben Diaz planting one in from the edge of the box.
Yeah, he swung it in from miles away, which he's never doing that ever again.
Another game shortly after that, and is Watford away. Now, this is a game where genuinely I thought we could have scored 10 goals. But I think the Champions League run caught up with us. We had a couple of injuries and we took it easy once we went 3-0 up and we won. I think we ended up winning 3-1. But Jack Grealish played false nine. You've referenced it. Everybody had a turn. I actually think Liverpool at home in the treble season towards the end was his finest moment for City. But he was fantastic this day. And the only criticism I've got of him in this game is that he missed about 5 absolute sitters. But
yes,
he was just brilliant that day. Watford didn't know whether to go, whether stick or twist. He just knew. And again, playing centrally, he looked like a completely different player for us. He looked like he was just been let out to play with his mates by his mum after his tea. He just loved it. Yeah.
This is this nice little period of Sterling having like his last goal scoring run at City, because I think we kind of thought the way the season before ended, it was kind of all over for him. But yeah, you get this nice little run. I know you've mentioned that, obviously gets to 100 Premier League goals against Wolves with a typically not very good penalty.
It was, yeah. If you can imagine Raheem Sterling taking a penalty, this was it. It shouldn't have gone in, but it did.
You say that though, he's missed every type of penalty. He's chipped Panenka's over. He's blasted things over. He's tried them all. And he can't really take any of them, apart from that penalty against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup final to win it, which is one of the best penalties you've ever seen.
It was Edger-like, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, there it is. I'd imagine if Edgy had taken as many penalties as Raheem Sterling, he'd have missed about as many. He's such a massive, massive part of everything Guardiola did in those first few years. Yeah, there is the catalogue of misses. The Leon misses, a particular and swallow you up moment. Yeah. But the way his relentlessness, his movement, his football intelligence, for everything for those Guardiola teams to work, the fact that he was the runner that De Bruyne could always hit. And yeah, he was always there to score those goals. There are other misses, but the movement, the sense of things, that period sort of between 2018 and 2020 when he was at his peak, I thought the world of him then. I thought on the Guardiola farewell, the brilliant Corp Live evening, I thought he was the one glaring miss. Like when all the lads came back.
Very interesting.
If there was one that didn't, it was like, that is a shame. And yeah, hopefully as the years go past, it sort of smooths over a bit, because he was such a wonderful part of everything that happened in those years.
Without a doubt. I mean, I never tire of talking about that 17-18 season. Him on the right, Sané on the left, Aguero or Jesus in the middle, Dave and Kev behind them. It was just incredible. He was brilliant for us as a winger. I always felt when he moved inside, he probably didn't have the same effect, and his finishing left a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
He was brilliant 17-18. The Spurs game, the Spurs VAR game in the Champions League, that was one of his finest, and his goal was amazing.
I think that was probably his peak, because I remember I covered a few England games around that time as well, and I did the England game against Czech Republic at Wembley where he got a hat-trick.
Yeah.
And I remember on his hat-trick goal, it was one of those that a little bit similar bit of the box where he scored against Spurs, where he sort of was cutting on his right and far corner, but he got it
Yeah.
and turned, and then he got into that position where he was going to shoot. And as he turned, I just thought goal, and I thought, hang on a minute. When have I ever thought that about Raheem Sterling when he's pulling his foot back? It's like we've unlocked another level of Raheem here, because he was so good at so much, but you never had confidence in him scoring. At that period, it was like he's going to keep bagging.
And my theory about a lot of these players who've passed through City is they come under Pep and they are coached to within an inch of their lives, and that is the best they'll ever be. They'll always get better under Pep, but when they leave, their trajectory won't continue, and it didn't happen. Chelsea, Arsenal, Feyenoord, wherever he's at now. And I always thought that was going to be the way. And when we got 50 million for him, I was absolutely startled.
Yeah, it was the right thing for all concerned. But it was great that we had this, because I remember at the time thinking this mid-season run where Sterling got among the goals a bit. I remember at the time thinking, enjoy this, because this is the swan song. You kind of knew. I think the other thing I had with Sterling, and you're right about sort of once players go away from the Guardiola coach, it's been so intense it can be hard for them to adjust. I think you forget about Sterling as well. He basically got in the Liverpool team at 17 and played all the time. And I think from that kind of era of English footballers, a bit earlier, Rooney's similar, but he peaked at 24, and you've just done so much that you can sort of burn out a bit earlier. And I think that's what's happened with Raheem, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I'm pleased to say that Mr. Sterling comes back to play a huge part in the punchline of this season.
He does,
which is good. But we're going into Christmas now, and actually, as festive periods go, Leeds 7-0, Newcastle away 4-0, Leicester 6-3, although that was a bit wonky. A tight win at Brentford away, and then we'll come to the classic piss boiling at the Emirates. What a Christmas! 7-0, 4-0, 6-3.
Yeah, and after the 7-0 was when Grealish and Foden went out and got in trouble, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, yes.
And I remember at that time it was all.
Was that the one when I don't know if I'm allowed? I don't know if I can say this. You tell me if I can edit it out. When Pep was off, Pep wasn't at the training ground, and they came in and they didn't basically they'd not been home.
I don't know if we can say they came in. Pep wasn't there, but they came in. What was it? Not in a full condition to train, I think was the euphemistic.
Yeah, we've all been there, Dom.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was funny at the time, though, that I remember a lot of City fans talking about it as if this party boy Greece leading our Phil astray, as if as if Phil Foden's always a little boy who doesn't know what he's doing.
I was just going to say, it turns out that it's probably the other way around in that scenario. But we were just blowing teams apart. I mean, Leeds looked completely lost. Leicester looked like they were going to go the same way, but then that went a little bit wonky, where they pulled it back. I think Maddison was absolutely outrageous for them for about half an hour in that game.
That was Boxing Day, wasn't it? That was a good old-fashioned mental Boxing Day game. Every year, people do that Boxing Day. Was in 1962 or something, where all the games are 7-4. Yeah. Well, Pepper's a big old English football nerd now. Will have really enjoyed that. He'll have been having a laugh about that with Neil Warnock or something. Yeah, him and Juan Marlilo will have been over and over it, won't they? Yeah. This was the time when Juanma was on the staff, wasn't it? And they were basically pretty much living together, being tactics nerds.
Yeah, that's the Juan Marlilo who wasn't at the club during the treble season. But then came back. You'd be gutted, wouldn't you, if you were Juan Marlilo? But
also, he kind of did rock up during the running, didn't he? Because I remember he was in Istanbul.
He was in the final. He was in the final.
Yeah, he was kind of because I think he was working. Was he working in Qatar or something? But
that's right.
I think for the running, he kind of ended up sort of after rejoining the backroom staff again. It was all a bit weird.
Yeah, is it like when David Brent goes back to Wernham Hogg? Just to say hello to people.
Enzo Maresca going, here he is, the fella who nicked my job.
Brilliant. And just casually beating Newcastle 4-0 away in between that. Just casual 4-0 thumping. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was the big everyone singing the Cancelo song to Let It Snow, wasn't it?
Yeah. Brilliant. Not me, because I'm a little bit more cool than that. Yeah. Brentford away, that's Phil with his Eminem haircut, and he got a lovely cross by, and it was Walker or De Bruyne, but he side-footed at the near post, beauty. And then we come to the Emirates. Arsenal at this stage of starting to build a team under Arteta. It's a really tough place to go. And just talk to me about that goal at the end by Rodgers, because it's got everything. It's got everything in it. I mean, we throw it in the mixer for a start.
We do, and what it has got in the celebration, because obviously his celebration is fantastic, isn't it?
There's toilet rolls, there's cans, there's cups.
Who's brought the bog roll in? That is
well.
That
To
is
be fair, it is New Year's Day, so I mean, if you've been on, if you've
that's
been on
it,
a Guinness,
safety toilet roll on New Year's Day. But like
Yeah.
that's like 1970s football. You see people lobbing bog roll from out of terrace in. That was very retro. Yeah, it's class. And what's great also in terms of the piss boiling, he scored at the end where the City fans are. It would have been so easy.
Yeah,
for him to run
go
to the
to
away
City
fans,
fans.
where it's completely gone off, obviously. But yeah, he's a giant shithouse, isn't he?
It was tops off everything, straight into the crowd. The one thing I would say about that Arsenal reaction to that goal, and Arsenal, which I don't think I'll ever say this about Arsenal fans again, but I thought pure hatred had gone out of football at this stage. But seeing the looks on their faces when he runs straight at them, takes his top off, it restored my faith in supporterhood, because it was pure hatred. It was brilliant. I mean, there's a video of me celebrating the Mahrez penalty to, I think we equalised, don't we? And then thankfully there's no video of me celebrating, because I was at home. I didn't go because it was New Year's Day and it was an early kickoff.
It was, yeah.
We lump it into the mix. I think Laporte's been thrown up front.
Yeah,
Laporte's up front, which is brilliant, tactical genius Pep. Neil Ward's probably whispering in his ear going, throw the big fella up. Throw the big fella up.
Like, listen, everyone got to go up front that year. It was very democratic.
Yeah, Laporte's false 9 for the last 2 minutes. And then the ball just drops with about 5 players around it, and Rodri just prodded it in, and it was just sensational. Piss boiling.
Yeah, wonderful stuff. Gabriel losing his head too.
It's on now, isn't it? It's on now, the league title.
Oh yeah. And Chelsea have started to wobble a little bit at this point, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's happening.
Ferran Torres. So we'd only just signed him in the summer. We signed him for about 15 million. Bizarrely, he requested to leave. Barcelona came up with the 45 million quid. Whether they've still paid it or not, I still to this day do not know whether they've paid it. But £30 million profit. I personally didn't see a player there at all. Dom, what about you?
I think it is telling that Barcelona signed him at the time to be the face of the new Barcelona. Yeah. He's now a backup forward. He's a backup forward for Spain. He became a meme in Spain's 0-0 draw against Cape Verde at the World Cup.
Oh, he missed a load, didn't he? He missed a few.
He hit the bar from 4 yards. I think it wasn't like he was missed, was it? And I don't think his career since then has suggested that. I don't think he's the one City fans think have got away. Let's get Ferran Torres back. Says
exactly.
No.
Yeah. So we signed him for next to nothing, sell him for 45 million. Around about the same week, we signed an unknown Argentinian striker for the following season, but we signed him in the January called Julian Alvarez, and we signed him for £14 million. So we've basically replaced one with the other, and we end up making about 65 million quid profit on him as well. To be fair, that's incredible transfer business, isn't it?
Yeah, really. Obviously, the Alvarez you don't see this season, but I think I'm not alone as a City fan in just loving Argentine players, and it goes back to Zabaleta and Tevez and Aguero. And Alvarez was a little bit of that, of like just relentless work rate when he played, proper terrier of a forward, lovely player. Because that was like towards the end of when I was doing this job at Reach and like doing any sort of City content you could. I remember around that deadline day, we volleyed out so much stuff about Alvarez, because it was like people trying to find out who he was and like speaking to Argentine football nerds. I remember I had a week of getting really in the weeds with Julian Alvarez, and by the end of it, been really excited. But then I did think I've watched I've just watched a load of YouTube compilations of his goals for River Plate, and he looks amazing. But we all remember Georgios Samaras looked good on YouTube as well, don't we? So
Georgios Samaras was one of the only few players I've seen score in his debut, and me walk away from the stadium going, he is absolutely shite. We beat Charlton 3-2.
Barton scored a screamer, didn't he?
Barton scored, he was asked for a transfer. Pearce was linked to the England job. I mean, Jesus, Pearce and Kirbishley that day. Do you know what I mean? Beanie is his number 2.
Job.
Yeah.
What a
Beanie
time
as
to be
director of
alive.
football. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. But I think Alvarez was a fantastic signing. But, you're just thinking, right, I've signed for City. Can't wait to get cracking in the summer. What's that? They signed who? Erling Haaland. And then the game's up. Anyone we sign backing up to Erling Haaland is not going to play that many games. But anyway, back to that season. Really strong performance against Chelsea at home with a Kevin De Bruyne absolute beauty, despite N'Golo Kante trying to side him down at the knee. Bends it, far post, absolutely brilliant win, 1-0. And at this stage, we're actually top. We found ourselves top because of that brilliant Christmas, top by 5 points, although we've played a game more.
Also, I know Lukaku had a couple of chances, didn't he?
We did.
That's a good City narrative strand of the Guardiola. Well, Lukaku had a couple of chances he didn't score. Thanks, mate.
Istanbul. Cheers, mate. Thanks very much. And probably when he played for United as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't even remember him doing anything for United against City. But yeah, he probably told one over.
No, he did. He did. Remember when we won 2-0 and Edison did that double save?
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I was reminded of that last night when I was watching Argentina and Otamendi came on. And I was trying to explain to the two lads I was watching it with in Newcastle, saying, "Yeah, but he scored this goal and then he slid and he did the general sign," and they're just looking at me like
the general sign.
Not arse, mate.
Genuinely incredible. He's still playing at World Cups in 2026, and the reception when he came on, the Argentina fans went mental. Like hero reception.
He's the ultimate Argentinian centre half, isn't he? I mean, you know what I mean? He was rolling around after about a second, pretending he'd been fouled.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're handily placed in the league, and then it's back to Champions League, and we get Sporting Lisbon. Now, I remember Pep talking Sporting Lisbon up, saying they've got a really good coach, they've got some really good players. I think Matheus Nunes played well. In fact,
Matheus Nunes, one of the best players in the world. Yeah,
he did say, and I think Pep said he was one of the best players in the world after we went there and roundly shafted them 5-0. And I am pleased to say, proud to say that at 3-0, I thought I'm missing a lot of what Lisbon's got to offer here. I'm off.
It's a great city, though, isn't it?
I went and got stuck in at 3-0. I think I remember seeing the fifth on the telly in a bar somewhere, but it's all a bit hazy. That was a great performance. Did Raheem score?
Sterling got the fifth. Was a bit of a scream. But this is one because they're 4-0 up at half time. Yeah, I mean, while you were on the tram back into Lisbon,
I was on the Aperol Spritz at this point, mate. Back to the league, though. Obviously, as is contractually obliged, we lose to Spurs 3-2 at home,
and
standard
in comedy fashion. Kane was great that game. The one he liked to pick up like the narrative from the summer. Because that was one of the first times I saw him really nail his like dropping deep and getting. Obviously we see him. Do it for England and stuff, but he was great. But the thing about that game as well is Mahrez took I know Mahrez could be hit and miss from the penalty spot.
Yeah,
as we'll see later on in the running. But he took an absolute clutch penalty in injury time to get a draw, and then they contrived to still make a bollocks of it. That was quite annoying.
Horrendous.
People started getting a bit wobbly then.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm being a bit of a geek nerd about this, whether I'm completely wrong, but I think. Wasn't that Kulusevski one of his first games for Spurs? He was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, he's another one of the Spurs lads who is fantastic against City all the time.
Yeah, and then you're thinking, well, the last thing we want to do after getting beat at Spurs is go to Everton away. That was heavy. That was absolutely heavy, that Phil Foden goal, which I still don't know to this day how the ball found its way to him.
Yeah, were you there that day?
Yeah, I was there, and I was right on it. So I was down in the bottom tier. And the ball, I don't know who crossed the ball to him, but Michael Keane looked like he had all the time in the world to either leather it or trap it and leather it. And he did nothing, and he did a bit of a Norman Wisdom. And it just fell to Foden, who just hit it past Jordan Pickford. It was the most bizarre goal ever.
I imagine inside, I wasn't there, but I imagine in that Goodison Park away end, that was like an absolute bomb going off.
It was, because it was about the 82nd, 83rd minute. It was, well, of course, it was the famous Rodri handball.
Well, it was offside in the build-up, so
love that. That's true, but I got a T-shirt with that silhouette on. I got a T-shirt with that silhouette. Cult Zeros. They're brilliant, by the way.
Right,
This is not a paid ad. Cult Zeros. You can get anything you want on there. I've got Swales ones. I've got all sorts. I've got Roland from Grange Hill, which I think might be a bit before your time. But it was the fact
I
he
am
did
aware,
respect
but it is before my time. Yeah.
Yeah, and anyway, I've
His
got
legend
Rodri
lives
just
on.
handballing it, and I wore that T-shirt for ages. I think I left it on holiday somewhere. And then we smashed United, and we absolutely battered them. We really went heavy on them. I think De Bruyne scored. Then I think Sancho equalised
Yeah.
and ran to the City fans as if to say, "Hey, look what you're missing." People will never
And then,
learn, will they?
and then he never scored a goal ever again.
And then Mahrez scored two belters. One where it smacked De Gea full in the face, which was a shame.
Scoring off the goalie's face is a good touch. So this was, except I revisited this story, which is one that I think it was Sam Lee wrote it first in the Athletic. That City's prep for this game, Guardiola did a training session of got the youth teamers to shadow United and do what they would do in a 11-on-11, and he got Oscar Bob to be Ronaldo and basically told him to not press, go to the centre backs a little bit, but then just stop. And basically made Oscar Bob stand still to pretend to be Ronaldo, which I absolutely love.
Don't forget, we're still in the FA Cup at this stage, and we've got Southampton in the quarterfinals, comfortably dispatched. I think that was 4-0 or 4-1 on a Sunday. I remember that. Phil Foden scored a beauty. So surely we're getting to March now. Surely some people are talking about the treble because we're in the semi-final of the FA Cup, we're in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and we're still 3 or 4 points ahead in the league. Are you giddy at this point, or are you thinking?
You look at the draw though. You always that week of Atletico away, Liverpool in the semi-final. Something was going to have to give.
Yeah, it did. I mean, we beat Burnley away, which was a nice fixture to have at that point. So we beat them comfortably. That exercised the ghost of the previous season where I think we'd drawn, and talk about Raheem Sterling miss. That was the one where it was literally on the goal line.
Yeah, it was a couple of years earlier, wasn't it? But Pep got in a mad and brought Brahim Diaz on for him.
Was it? Oh, was it in the 17-18 season?
17, right, yeah, okay. He hooked him straight after, yeah.
Yeah, I was on crutches that day in the away end, and I was in the disabled enclosure. Don't insert any gags there. I was in the disabled enclosure because I thought I'll just get a bit more space, because I thought we're going to score about 40 goals, and I don't want them to do my leg in. And honestly, that crutch nearly went flying onto the pitch when he missed that. I completely lost my mind. But you mentioned we've got Atletico in the quarterfinals. Now, I've talked a lot about heavy games, but that was like the footballing version of a migraine that just won't go away, because Atletico were their peak shithouse. I still maintain to this day that if De Bruyne hadn't got us that 1-0 win, we might have been going out. But it really seemed to pop their balloon, and it was such an important 1-0 win, because also that might have been the kind of game where we'd have lost that game in the Champions League previously 1-0, but we went away with a 1-0 win. That was heavy, that game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a brilliant. Foden was on the bench, which was like a bit of a surprise given how he'd been playing that season, and he came on and instantly just broke it apart like that. It's a great finish by De Bruyne, but it's a brilliant assist by Foden.
And then not the fixture you need directly after that. We've got Palace away, obligatory draw, but at least we didn't get beat. And then I think Liverpool won that weekend, and it meant that our lead was down to just one. And that's when Pep comes out and says the magic words, well, we need to win every game now. But we're starting to brick it, because we're thinking, Liverpool have won their league, we've won it back, but it was COVID. Is this going to be different? There's a lot of nerves, definitely.
But I think the reason people were starting to brick it a bit, and this maybe reached its height in that semi-final against Liverpool, is people were thinking this was like Klopp's team from 3 years earlier, where everyone could just go and win and win and win. But I don't think what we realised at the time is how much in the red both teams were, and both teams were a bit knackered. We get to a few weeks from here, all City defenders are suddenly injured. And I think that this is one of the reasons I just maybe I prefer this to the 18-19 running, because that was incredible, but it was just two teams who were on it all the time. There was so much more struggle in this one. The fact that Liverpool and City drove each other to the brink of both falling apart just makes it incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, we did it the harder way, this one, because of the players that were gradually just dropping out injured. I mean, the injury list was huge because we were fighting on all fronts. But Liverpool are on our coattails but we get a chance because we've got them at home. And my recollection of that, I remember it was like the 88th, 89th minute, and I'm walking down from my seat to watch it just on the edge of the concourse with my daughter, and Mahrez somehow gets given the ball, and you can either run at goal round the keeper and slot it in, or chip the keeper, and he opts to chip the keeper, hits it wide, and you're thinking, that's us. That could have been us going 4 points clear.
Yeah, it was
with 7 games to go.
Yeah, it was De Bruyne played him through. I think De Bruyne was incredible that game.
Yeah,
that was what I loved about that game as well. Is it was that bit of the Klopp Guardiola rivalry where they'd both taken bits from each other. That City that day, if you remember, he changed it up and I think he had Jesus on the wing and Sterling through the middle. And I know we saw Sterling through the middle. There were pros and cons to that, but it was lots of like, right, get in behind quickly, attack them, loads of direct running. Whereas Liverpool's response to that was when Thiago Alcantara was playing really well for them. So he had like a Barcelona playmaker sort of trying to get them back in the game. So yeah, it was another great game, but that was one that Pep said after it, I feel like we left them alive. And he was right. Because that they should have put the title away that day. They should have won. They should have won 4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been 4 points clear with 7 games to go. And that's the famous one where Edison's got the ball and he chooses to only get rid of it on his goal line as Jota is bearing down on him. A classic.
Yeah.
Edison. I do miss him. I do miss the big fella. I mean, we could absolutely dedicate a whole episode to the next game because it's Atletico Madrid away. Now, we've just talked at length about Diego Simeone and his team and the fact that they are a team of shithouses. But what we did, and what I thought was our true coming of age, was we decided to out-shithouse them. It was Fernandinho at his absolutely peak, nasty, Grealish calling Savage a cunt. I can swear because it's my podcast, so apologies for any listeners. And Scott Carson offering basically anybody and everybody out in the tunnel. Well, just what a brilliant 90-odd minutes, mate.
Amazing. One of the great things about the Grealish one is when you lip read it, in your head you hear the Brummie accent.
Yeah. Yo, you're a cunt.
Yeah. It's so good. Fernandinho, I know like towards the end of the season he had to get wheeled out at centre-back, but this felt like his like one last job. It's like, he was leaving at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Get in midfield and just go full Atletico Madrid on them. But yeah, I thought in that game, I thought they played it pretty. First half was quite comfortable. I think Bernardo had a chance.
He did.
They were pretty comfortable for the first hour, but then it just became one of those horrible, intense Atletico Madrid things. But that's the best thing about the Champions League, when you come through games like that against teams like that. That is what it's all about. That's the reason that you sort of doss about playing Bruges or whatever in the group stage with no disrespect. Actually, quite a lot of disrespect.
Loads of disrespect.
Yeah. And that's what's great about the run to the treble the year after, that it is beating Madrid, beating Bayern Munich, like beating those big teams at their grounds. That was a special night in a way that different special to the rest of the season. But
that was. I mean, it all kicked off the classic Foden. So Foden had been given a hefty blow to the head. He had his Rabsi Nesbitt bandage on, and he got injured down by the touchline and just sort of rolled back on the pitch.
Yep.
So the game had to stop, and then Savic dragged him off, and then it just went. But what was brilliant is that all of our Zinchenko came steaming off the bench. He got stuck in. Laporte, they all got steaming in, and it was a big collective. Then you had our physios, you had Scott Carson, as I say, you had everybody piling in, and it was a proper collective performance. You go to Atletico Madrid and you defend a 1-0 lead, and you put in a performance that's so not like you, but it was brilliant. I'm sorry, mate, I was convinced at this point that we were winning it because I knew that we were better than Real Madrid. Yeah, without a doubt. And before then, I think you pointed to before around the Liverpool semi-final. In amongst all this, we've got to go to Wembley and play our arch rivals who are neck and neck with us in the league title. And to be fair, I've typed in my notes an embarrassing performance, and I was dead angry because Pep decided to play the stiffs. When you look back at it and you do a bit of delving, De Bruyne was injured, Walker was injured, Laporte was injured, to name but a few. And actually, when you look at the lineup, I think it was just that we played shit, and the goalie made a massive howler. Zach Steffen,
but even then they managed to sort of have it, put the frighteners on them in the second half. Like Grealish scored
Bernardo.
Jesus, like,
I think it might have been Bernardo at the end.
But yeah. But yeah, the contrast there is as stirring as that win over Atletico was, it takes it out of you, that sort of game. Whereas Liverpool, they'd played Benfica and they had the second leg at home, just like cruised to a win, were able to rest a few people around that game because I think they were already well ahead. So yeah, and they came out like properly full gunning it with Mane. Obviously, Mane tackled Zach Steffen into the net. That's the difference between Ederson on the goal line and other normal goalies.
Yeah. So Pep's already announced that. Right. Okay, that's gone. Got 7 league games to go. Got to win them all. First 2 dispatched with ease. Brighton and Watford. Brighton 3-0. Watford 5-1. All good. All hunky dory. The league is looking really, really good. And then we've got the small matter of Madrid at home in the first leg of the Champions League semi-final. And it was one of those all-time classics. Not in a good way. I mean, we won, but not in a good way. But it was a classic. What are your recollections?
Well, in terms of the quality of the performance, I know obviously the 4-0 the year after is the ultimate, but in terms of how they attacked that night, scoring early, Jesus now was a striker again for a bit.
Yeah.
He took his goal really well. De Bruyne and Bernardo, just all fantastic that night. Foden scoring after he hit the bar. Again, they should have absolutely pasted them, but just kept letting them back in. Benzema doing what he did. Obviously, Fernandinho had to come on at right back, didn't he? Because Stones got injured. Stones was playing at right back, Walker's in. So the defence is starting to fall apart now. And Fernandinho got the assist, didn't he, for Foden's goal, and it was great.
Right,
but then, but then he had a long goal chase after Vinicius on his goal.
That Vinicius goal! He got the ball well inside his own half, and Fernandinho's just wading through treacle because he's injured. He's about 72, and he's playing at right back because we've got nobody else to play there as well, and we paid the price. Madrid. And it's the theme from the second leg. We'll come to that after a few league games. But Madrid just never gave up. And that's what this sounds really cheesy. But I think it's when you've got that self-importance and that self-righteousness as a football club, you just never give up because you think, it's not going to possibly happen to us. We'll be fine. And they never gave up. And that Karim Benzema goal at the end just proved critical, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get stuck into him because he was absolutely massive at the end of the season when the defence was being held together by gaffer tape and his knee was knackered as well.
Yeah.
But what's Laporte doing with that handball?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Yeah, it is a shame because I've reserved a little bit at the end for Laporte because I actually think he's probably one of our secret players of the year that season. Because he turned up when everyone, not phoned in sick in a bad way because they were clearly, but he turned up and he was clearly injured. I mean, that Villa game. But we'll come to that because in between it, again, there's a popular theme here, but the fixture you do not want is an evening game or a tea time game away at Ellen Road in between 2 Madrid games, and we absolutely turn up big time.
Yeah.
Aki scored from a corner, I think. Jesus scored a nice goal, actually. Nice finish.
Fernandinho scored one, didn't he?
Well, he scored a belter, and that was actually registered the hardest shot in the Premier League that season. It didn't look that hard to me, but apparently it was. But 4-0, absolute cakewalk. Perfect. We managed to rest any player that looked remotely injured. And then we go to Madrid away. And I was so hopeful anyway. And we played brilliant for 80 minutes. We were absolutely superb. And then we break away. Mahrez scores. We're 2 goals up. At the away end goes absolutely mental. There's Madrid fans in the box behind us. And a mutual friend of ours who I attended that football match with was reminding the Madrid fans in the box that they were going out of Europe. And, yeah. And you know who it is. He's tall and and very drunk. And I thought, well, we're going through. And I think that was it. And then what happened there? I've never experienced this again. I've never experienced it before. I've never experienced it again. But we were 2-0 up, and then they scored in the 90th minute.
Yeah.
And the whole, when you think about the Burnabout, like 80, 90,000 people, there was just this collective, I don't know what it was, Dom, a collective belief. It wasn't just a roar, which it was a roar. It was a collective belief to the point where even I thought Madrid are going through here. And the whole ground raised. And then what happened next was just pretty fucking, I just couldn't get over it.
Like that Mahrez goal was just fun. It's a shame because that Mahrez goal deserves to be remembered as like one of the great Guardiola era moments, but they stacked it. But even I don't remember thinking when those Grealish chances that like somehow didn't go in.
Oh, that run from Grealish was fantastic, and he just toe poked and he went past the keeper.
I went along the line, but I don't even remember thinking like, oh, we're in trouble now. I was at that point. I'd like sort of like, well, it's done. I think I kind of had my attitude of, oh, you've lost, haven't you?
Yeah. And then there was only one winner, wasn't there? Extra time. There was only one winner. They got the penalty. I don't think we ever troubled the net, did we? After that, once they scored.
My memory of extra time is they scored the penalty and then Eder Militao was rolling around for 20 minutes. So I was doing like a match feature that night, and I'd written it about Walker against Vinicius, because you remember Walker was like playing through injuries and like ran himself into the floor trying to take care of Vinicius that night. And it was just a great battle. And it was like a good little like side plot of City getting to the final. So I'd written all this guff about Walker and Vinicius. When it got to extra time, it was they scored those 2 goals. I was like, right, how many of these 800 words can I salvage? Absolutely none. So during extra time, when they were like killing the clock, I was just like the typing cat gift. Like you'd look up and see another Madrid player rolling around. You, fine, mate. You take your time. You crack on. It was a bit of a riot in there that night.
Yeah, it was. I was gutted. And then the following morning, I thought, well, I wonder how this is going to affect us in the league. Because talk about energy sapping and the fact that we've just had the rug well and truly pulled from under our feet. But as it happens, we got back on the horse because we played Newcastle at home. And again, Newcastle were a terrible side, easily brushed 5-0. Rodri screamer. Volley, yeah.
Because Liverpool had drawn with Tottenham the day before, hadn't they?
That's right, yeah.
Finally, a Son Heung-min goal that was vaguely useful from a City point of view. So that took the pressure off a little bit. But that was such a massive showing of character after the Madrid thing, because that was just obviously such a gut-wrenching thing for a team to experience and to turn up and play the way they did. That was huge.
Yeah, and it's very reminiscent of when we went out to Spurs in the Champions League and then beat them at home in the League 1-0, the Phil Foden header. Took balls. We were lucky that game.
That was disgusting though, that game. Whereas against Newcastle, and I think this was Newcastle like just after they had their takeover and Eddie Howe had come in. So I think they were struggling at the start of the season, but like that was the January they'd bought Trippier and they bought a few good lads in. A bit like that first window City had under Hughes when they got Bellamy and De Jong and guys like that. So they were a decent side.
And then the midweek now, I know we talk about levels. Bernardo's performance against Real Madrid the following year in the semi-final was incredible and probably the greatest I've ever seen, the greatest City performance. But on that Wednesday night, towards the end of the 21-22 season, we went to Wolves away, where Kevin De Bruyne scored 4 goals and was just absolutely incredible that night. He was just unbelievable. He just did everything. He didn't just score the goals. He did the full lot. And then one of his goal celebrations gave the game away about who was signing in the summer. Do you remember?
Yeah, because that was the day when all the Haaland reports had probably come out, and so he did that. He then denied afterwards that had anything to do with Haaland. God, he was incredible that night. Because in that run-in, that was the game people looked at like, oh, Wolves away. Because Wolves were pretty good then, I think. Like looking at their team, like Dendoncker was a good player, and he scored their goal. They had Neto, they had Jimenez, Moutinho, Neves. So you think that was one that looked like a problem, and De Bruyne just instantly made it not a problem. It's easy to forget Wolves equalised in that game, but that just made him even more angry. He was absolutely phenomenal that night. Is there a player who's got a stronger, weaker foot? Like De Bruyne's left peg, some of those finishes is unreal.
Do you remember Leicester away, where we broke quickly and then he just stopped on the edge of the area and just battered it in the top corner with his left foot?
Yeah, that's a great combination of goals in that game, because the first goal was really intricate David Silva stuff and Jesus scored and then the second goal he just rips the net pegs out.
Yeah, but at this point, I mean, there was a few casualties from that Wolves game, so we're really struggling now. We've got Diaz is out, Stones is out, Laporte's out, Walker's out, Fernandinho's out. They're all injured. So after that game, Pep's post-mortem is that all of those players are missing, and we're thinking West Ham away and Villa at home. It's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, because the back four that night at Wolves is Zinchenko, Cancelo, fullback's fine, but Fernandinho was playing centre back with Laporte. Yeah. Laporte goes off because he's injured. replaced by an injured Nathan Ake. But then I'm looking at the team, like Fernandinho came off before the end and then Mahrez came on. So did that mean, did Rodri go back to centre-half or something?
Rodri must have gone to centre-half,
It is an absolute bare-bones situation, that defence. And then, I think they needed that brilliant De Bruyne performance at Wolves, because after that, the tank is on empty. But then it comes back to just the massive amount of character they show over those 2 games is incredible.
Yeah, it is amazing. We've got West Ham away. I mean, again, another nightmare game. But thankfully, Pep's gone round and go, does anyone fancy this? If anyone can play even on one leg. So Laporte puts his hands up, Ferner puts his hands up, and we battled on. Boy, can you tell that half the team are injured, because some absolutely nightmare defending. I mean, shocking defending, Zinchenko and Laporte. We just looked tired, and we're 2-0 down. And I'm thinking, all right, this is the running where we don't win it. I'm used to winning run-ins. This is the one where it comes back to bite us on the bum. Yeah. And then we pull it back.
Yeah. By the way, talking about everyone being knackered, no substitutions that game.
You're joking. I remember that.
The absolute madman. Everyone has been playing into the absolute floor. No subs. But there is a little bit of a knock on that. I think the way Zinchenko played in that game is why he was on the bench at Villa, and then obviously came on and had a great impact. But it's a Grealish's deflected goal just after half time, and then his own goal.
Was it Thomas Souček, I think, diving header? Thomas Souček, or one of them, or Koufal?
It was Koufal, the other big, it's a generic big Czech lad from West Ham. But and then obviously a penalty, and if Mahrez scores the penalty, it's a nice, relaxed final day, isn't it?
Yeah, and do you know what? What I would say is, usually being a typical Bert, I'm going, well, we're not scoring this. I think because it was Mahrez, I just thought, well, we'll score this. Not any part of me thought. And did he miss it, or was it saved?
It was saved, but I thought about that one he took against Tottenham. That was just such a balls of steel penalty. It's like, because I know Mahrez's penalties. I think it took City fans about 4 years to forgive him for the one at Anfield. Yeah. But it definitely got good at penalties by this point, to the point that it was surprising that he didn't score.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so he misses the penalty. So we need to win to beat Aston Villa, and I've put in my notes here, Jesus Christ. We're out on our arse. Laporte since very recently told the story around how he couldn't even turn, he couldn't run, he could barely walk. For Villa's second goal, Villa go 2-0 up. Steven Gerrard, who's clearly desperate for Liverpool to win. And there's that now famous picture of Kev on one knee doing his shoelace with 82.5 minutes on the clock, and we look well and truly fresh out of clues. I'll let you take it away, Dom, because what happened next was stuff of just fantasy.
It's amazing. I mean, I think it is worth pointing out that the defence Pep wheeled out that day was mad. Like, John Stones at right back, Cancelo at left back, with Fernandinho at centre back. It's a little bit like the Eric Morecambe, I'm playing all the right notes, just not necessarily in the right order. Like that back four, like if you put Stones at centre back and Fernandinho at full back, fine, go for it. But it was weird. And it meant that none of the play flowed. My slightly controversial opinion is that in some ways, now I know 93-20 can never be beaten, but in some ways this is better because, I never properly gave up against QPR because it's like, if you just get one. Whereas when Coutinho scored, and Coutinho scoring for Gerrard's team, and you're thinking, well, they need to get 3 goals, and they've not scoring one all day, and there's 15 minutes left. Yeah. Like, it's done. It was so done. But I just thought, all right, well, that's it. It's over. And then, obviously, De Bruyne and Gundogan have other ideas, and it's like, oh, God, it was as much as so when you're doing it, you can't go as a fan and you work in it, and you don't get to sit there and be involved in the limbs, but seeing the ground and seeing just the mayhem. It was like the last days of Rome in there. It was amazing. So Gundogan's goal happens and fine. Rodri's goal, which is such a brilliant goal, he could smack the laces off that, but the fact he passes it in under that pressure from 22 yards is crazy. I also that day, I have no memory whatsoever of Guardiola's press conference, and I was in it. I took a photo in it. I've looked on my phone. The last thing I remember after the game is I went back to my mum and dad's for a brew before driving back to Leeds, and going, how have they done that again? Like clearly, my brain's just checked out for an hour. It was something else.
It was incredible, and as I never tire of saying, my daughter, my eldest daughter, she was with me at the time, so she'd have been about 15. It was her generation's Aguero moment, and it was just incredible. And I often think back about Sterling and Gundo coming on and changing the game, but I actually think Zinchenko coming on, who bizarrely had been shit at West Ham away the previous week.
He was fantastic, wasn't he?
Yeah, he played really well, and obviously he played that ball to Rodri. It was just 82 minutes, and actually it wasn't like we'd scored in the 93rd, 94th minute. We were done and dusted by the 87th. I mean, it just came like that, and thankfully Tyrone Mings trapped the ball like I trapped a ball, and let Kevin for the Gundogan goal. I'll never ever forget it. It was that generation Aguero moment.
Kev having the presence of mind to cross there rather than shoot himself is brilliant. But yeah, it's like because that was Zinchenko's last City appearance and Jesus' and Sterling's, and Sterling and Zinchenko both been involved as they were. It was it does feel very much like the end of a chapter because then Haaland comes in and that just changes things and they win the treble. But yeah, for that team of false nine scrappers just playing this perfect football, but then doing it in a completely imperfect way in terms of how they played on the final day.
Yeah.
But the most perfect way to win it. They're playing that day in the 10th anniversary. Sort of that kit is like a commemorative kit of 2012. Like I thought the digital on it as well. So
yeah.
And now commemorative kits from 10 years ago is a bit silly in my opinion, but they're playing in a kit. They're playing to commemorate the Aguero thing, and they do it in arguably an even madder way.
Incredible. Everyone's injured. Everyone's knackered. On fumes. 2-0 down. 8 minutes to go. And we're 3-2 up within 5 minutes of that. It was just.
I love that picture of the Gundogan winner when they're all like the celebration. Now they've all just run off in. Foden's like holding his head on before it falls off. They're all running in different directions, knee slides. Oh, yeah, just
incredible. So we find ourselves as back-to-back champions again on 93 points. Liverpool finished second on 92 points, which is more than enough to win you the league most years. We scored 99 goals. I've got a couple of questions to ask you as we end what has been a brilliant episode. So that was Fernandinho's last game for City as well as others, but Fernandinho's legacy at City?
Great. Everyone wants him back as assistant manager, don't they? He's a legend. Got off on the right foot by paying his release clause and been dead excited about coming in. But it's easy to forget that when he joined City, because City signed a lot of players young and they're going to get their best years. He joined when he was 27, 28. To have the career he did under Pellegrini and Guardiola, absolute.
Incredible.
He's one of those. He's probably not statue tier, but he's the next one.
Okay, a couple of quick fires. Who was top scorer that season?
Is it De Bruyne? It's really hard that year because everyone got about 50.
He was second top scorer. It was Riyad Mahrez, 24 goals.
Yeah. There he goes.
Yeah. Who made the most appearances that season? There was one outright.
I want to say Laporte because he needs a shout out for just never ever yielding to his body falling apart. Is it Laporte?
No, he was on 44 appearances. No, it was someone who got way more than that. It was João Cancelo on 52.
Was it? Man.
João on 52, Bernie on 50, and then Edison on 49, Mahrez, Sterling on 47.
We could have been here all day, I want to say Cancelo, but yeah.
Then finally, who was your player of that season?
It's so tough. I think, if I think back to the time, I think Bernardo is very close to it. It's probably Kev, but yeah, it's probably De Bruyne, but with a big shout out to Laporte, who was wonderful.
He was phenomenal, and I was gutted when he left after the treble season. In fact, a nice touch. They brought him on in the FA Cup final right at the death against United in the treble season. I thought that was good.
He probably ended his City career really that season because he basically did himself in. He needed surgery that summer, and by the time he came back, City had signed Akanji, and Ake was playing loads better, and that was just And Stones ends up playing as the midfield centre. So it just kind of moved away from him through no fault of his own, really. But yeah, he was an absolute warrior in that running.
Yeah. Dom Farrell, thank you so much for taking us through what was a fantastic season that many people it goes under their radar. It was a brilliant season, but you've helped us cover it perfectly. So thanks so much. And no doubt we'll have you back on soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, mate. Pleasure.